The story of Tamar, daughter of King David, is a tragic tale that unfolds within the pages of the Bible, showcasing themes of betrayal, injustice, and the plight of the virgin daughter of a king. Tamar's story, marked by sorrow and helplessness, offers profound insights into the complexities of power, family dynamics, and the pursuit of justice in the reign of David. Tamar's tragic fate unfolded within the confines of her own family, orchestrated by her half-brother Amnon, the eldest son of King David. Many people do not know that the defilement of Tamar was the beginning of troubles in the house of David. I did a video some time ago about the tragic death of the 5 sons of David. You can watch that one after this video, and it's no surprise that the death of 2 of the best sons of David is directly linked to Tamar's story, and also the beginning of troubles within the family of David and all of Israel. We will talk about this at the end of the video. So what really happened in the story of Tamar, the beautiful virgin daughter of David? Amnon was consumed by lust and desire for his half-sister, which should be unheard of. Amnon lusted after Tamar so much that he became depressed and sick. He began to lose weight and was in distress, and he was visited by his friend Jonadab, who was a very crafty man. It was he who helped Amnon devise a deceitful scheme to satisfy his carnal desires. Jonadab advised Amnon to pretend to be ill, and when the king comes to visit him, he should make a certain request. So Amnon pretended to be ill, and when King David came to see him, he requested that King David should allow the virgin Tamar to make him food and feed him from her hand. And the king, seeing no harm in having a sister look after her brother, granted his request. He would have only wished a speedy recovery for his child, who was the next in line to the throne, all things being equal. So King David sent for Tamar and instructed her to go attend Amnon, and she dutifully went to care for him. Under the guise of illness, Amnon cunningly summoned Tamar to his chambers, exploiting the familial bond and her sense of duty to care for him. Alone and vulnerable, Tamar entered Amnon's chamber, unaware of the sinister intentions lurking beneath his facade of sickness. Once alone with Tamar, Amnon discarded any pretense of illness and unleashed his predatory desires upon her. Ignoring her protests and pleas for mercy, Amnon forcibly defiled Tamar, robbing her of her innocence and shattering her world in an instant. Tamar's cries for help fell on deaf ears as Amnon callously disregarded her pleas, driven solely by his own selfish desires. Following the assault, Amnon callously discarded Tamar, casting her aside like a mere object of his lust. The same sister whom he once professed to love and cherish was now reduced to a mere pawn in his twisted game of gratification. In the aftermath of the assault, Tamar was left to grapple with the physical and emotional scars of her trauma, while Amnon callously carried on with his life, seemingly unaffected by the devastation he had wrought. Her cries for justice and restitution fell upon deaf ears, as the patriarchal society in which she lived failed to hold her assailant accountable for his crimes. The aftermath of Amnon's heinous act plunged Tamar into a pit of despair and shame. The Bible records that after Amnon had defiled her, he hated her so much, even more than the love he had for her before, and he would not even cover up her disgrace. He had his servant send her away in broad daylight, and she walked away from his place in shame, tore her dress of many colors, which is the identification of the virgin daughters of King David, and she covered her head in ashes. Tamar's own father, King David, was very angry. Still, he was not recorded to take any decisive action, which would have been majorly due to his broken heart and holding the balance of the family. Still, the 2 people with whom King David's silence never sat well with were Tamar and her full brother Absalom. King David's response to Tamar's assault was marked by passivity, which made Tamar heartbroken and thirst for justice, further compounding her anguish and betrayal. Absalom told his sister not to take what had happened to heart, but Absalom, Tamar's full brother, seethed with rage and grief over his sister's violation and his father's inaction. Consumed by a thirst for vengeance, Absalom nursed his grievances, biding his time until the moment was ripe for retribution. He never did anything to Amnon for 2 good years. He didn't say anything good or bad to Amnon, and we can conclude this was what birthed Absalom's obsession with the throne. He must have thought he could have done better if he was king. With cunning and calculation, Absalom meticulously plotted his revenge, waiting for the opportune moment to strike. When the time finally came, Absalom orchestrated a devious plan to avenge his sister's honor and seize power for himself. He hosted a feast for his sheep shearing, which was often a period of happiness and merriment. Unknown to all, the feast was beyond the celebration. It was a celebration that was to bring the doom of revenge on Amnon. Absalom was cautious to disguise his real intention, and he must have been thinking about it for a long time. He chose to carry out his plan when everyone was merry and in high spirits and all guards were down, when anyone would never expect an impending danger. So he invited King David and all his sons, including Amnon. But David didn't go, but he permitted his sons with Amnon. Only God knows what would have happened if David had gone to the feast. Absalom's whole feast was planned in order to get revenge. Absalom had ordered his servants to strike Amnon during the banquet, when he was carried away by the wine and the fun of the feast, and it was that Amnon was struck down, bringing about the death of David's first son. A wave of chaos and bloodshed hit the feast hard as the body of Amnon lay lifeless on the floor by the hand of Absalom's servant, and the rest of David's sons fled in fear. The news that got to David was that all his sons had been killed by Absalom, and he tore his clothes and fell down in great sadness. But he soon found out that it was only Amnon who was killed. Was a feeling of relief supposed to flood him, or was he worried about the evil taking place at his watch? The brutal assassination of Amnon sent shockwaves throughout the kingdom, shaking the foundations of King David's rule and plunging the royal family into turmoil. Absalom's actions not only exacted a heavy toll on his family, but also became the beginning of rebellion in the family of David. Absalom's rebellion against his father and the subsequent bloodshed cast a dark shadow over the kingdom, signaling the beginning of a tumultuous period of civil unrest and instability. In his quest for vengeance, Absalom unleashed a chain of events that would ultimately lead to his own downfall and the further unraveling of the house of David. After the assassination of Amnon, Absalom fled from the wrath of his father, King David, seeking refuge in the kingdom of Geshur. Geshur was a region located east of the Sea of Galilee, known for its rugged terrain and strategic position. Absalom's decision to flee to Geshur was strategic, as it offered him sanctuary from his father's reach while allowing him to regroup and consolidate his power. Upon arriving in Geshur, Absalom sought the protection of Talmai, the king of Geshur, and his maternal grandfather. Talmai, recognizing Absalom's royal lineage and the opportunity for political alliance, welcomed his grandson with open arms, providing him with shelter and support. In Geshur, Absalom began to lay the groundwork for his eventual return to Israel and the pursuit of his ambitious aspirations for the throne. He surrounded himself with loyal supporters and forged alliances with influential figures within Geshur, bolstering his military strength and political clout. During his time in Geshur, Absalom also married Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, further solidifying his ties to the ruling family and strengthening his position in the region. The marriage alliance not only provided Absalom with a powerful ally in his quest for power, but also enhanced his legitimacy as a contender for the throne of Israel. Despite finding temporary refuge in Geshur, Absalom remained restless and determined to reclaim his rightful place within the kingdom of Israel. He bided his time, patiently awaiting the opportunity to make his triumphant return and confront his father's reign. Absalom's exile in Geshur served as a period of preparation and consolidation, laying the groundwork for his eventual rebellion against King David and the dramatic showdown that would ensue upon his return to Israel. His time in exile was marked by ambition, intrigue, and the relentless pursuit of power, as he plotted his ascent to the throne and the fulfillment of his destiny as the rightful heir to the house of David. As I said earlier in the video, the death of Tamar brought so many troubles to David and Israel as a whole. Amnon lost his life as a result, and it is funny that many people don't know that Absalom lost his life because of the ambition that was birthed out of the situation of Tamar. But before he died, he started up a civil war and pursued his father David out of town and slept with his concubines openly on the top of the palace, and one of David's best advisor also died. His name was Ahithophel. It is said that the counsel of Ahithophel was like the counsel of God. I'm sure you found this video valuable and entertaining. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel. Stay tuned for our next video. God bless you.